Hey, it's Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. We're here at the 40th ITEXPO Tech Super Show in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's 2023. Andrew Hall is with us. He's with a company called Quantanite. Andrew, welcome to the show. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, really pleased to be here.
And we're thrilled to have you. For those people who may not know your company, what do you guys do?
So Quantanite is an outsourcer, so we support organizations that are looking to enhance their customer engagement offshore, get a cheaper price, get something that's more relevant to them to be able to stay relevant to their own customers as well. So when organizations need to scale and grow, we're there to support them.
Excellent. Now, what sorts of outsourcing when you say outsourcer?
Yeah, so we look at particularly customer engagement outsourcing, so anything to do with customers. So that would involve people and technology, but our main business typically has grown up through, I guess, what other people might term as offshoring or nearshoring of work. So this could be to back office type activity, to cheaper locations in India and Bangladesh, or it could be front office applications and outsourcing to places like South Africa and the Caribbean.
And why do your customers typically come to you?
It's a whole host of reasons, but our differentiation, I guess, in terms of compared to others, is we focus very much on those companies that are the aspirational high growth companies that are achieving year-on-year gains that are quite significant. And they didn't come into this to be great at customer. They came at it to sell a widget, and then their customer needs grow as they grow. And so we work really well with customers who are on that high, fast trajectory, that hockey stick kind of curve, at keeping their costs to a minimum while making outstanding customer engagement for them.
Have there been challenges for international outsourcing?
No, actually. I think traditionally outsourcing has let itself down on a couple of fronts. I think we probably haven't pushed hard enough, or the industry hasn't been seen to push hard enough on transformation. So they're happy to take the seats and keep the seats and not do anything with it in terms of helping the customer on their journey. And I think customers have been a little bit guilty in trying to get the cheapest price and push outsourcers down into the weeds in terms of what they can provide. So I think, as an industry though, when you look at COVID and what happened in COVID, we probably kept 1 million companies alive in the world through COVID by being able to give them something of a resilient solution during that time that allowed them to keep their centers up and keep their work going. And certainly the businesses I was in at that time, we saw multiples, dozens of companies be signed within a short period of time because these organizations, people couldn't go to work anymore, and we did it for them. So I think as an industry, we're really supporting the resilience of a lot of organizations, a lot of sectors. But I think now we've got through COVID, I think companies have started to get more strategic in their thinking. And so they're now saying, well, how do we use this not just as a resilience piece for fortitude, but more to do with how do we genuinely use this to help us scale and manage our business more effectively, which is exciting. It's a great place to be.
Speaking of a great place to be, you're based out of South Africa, right?
We have a center in South Africa. So as a business, we're a global business. This year we'll hopefully open centers in, we have South Africa today, and we have Bangladesh today as well. We have business in US and Europe as well within the UK. Our headquarters are in the UK. But this year we'll hopefully open centers in Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Bulgaria. So really trying to expand the growth within the organization.
And we hear a lot about South Africa being a new frontier for outsourcing. Why is it a differentiator to be there?
So South Africa has got some uniques. Traditionally, especially on mainland US, people will be very familiar with outsourcing to somewhere like the Philippines and India more traditionally. And India had its problems. It wasn't able to really address some of the EQ, the emotional qualities that maybe people need in the front office. The Philippines took people a little bit more towards that. But through COVID, we saw particularly with the Philippines, it was unable to really. It didn't have the resilience in infrastructure and so forth to be sustainable, and so it's come under quite a lot of attack since then. South Africa has got a pretty good infrastructure. It's got a massive richness of resource in terms of the people that we can use. We're in the key centres, so Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, and what you find in those centres is that there is a really strong group of people that we can take into the centres that can deliver not only the IQ, the technical quality of work, whether it be customer or technology or help desk or whatever, but also the high emotional qualities that you need when you're dealing with people who, are probably on the edge of emotion a lot of the time, right? And how do you deal with that? And that takes a degree of skill. And we find that South Africa is a very natural place to be able to deliver that level of EQ over and above other centers.
That's fantastic. So this is probably the first major business technology show since ChatGPT came out, or one of them anyway. How is AI affecting your business?
I think it's positive in the way it's affecting. I mean, ChatGPT, we're all too early to really understand the impact of what that's going to be, right? And we're using it internally, so we use it for things like job descriptions and job adverts. We're starting to use it for white papers and to help us to figure out how we can better inform our customers in the market as well. So there's some internal uses for it right now. I think where AI is really playing out in our business at the moment is more around the augmented support that we can give to the advisors on the phone. So looking at things like agent assist, where it might be real-time sentiment analysis and even deep learning that we can get from the conversation that we're having now is what can be drawn from that in real time for me to say, okay, this is a word you've used 10 times, now how do I react to that? Are your emotional qualities changing through the call? And that's something that AI, on a base level when it comes to things like just entity matching and looking at sentiment analysis can support. And I think over time, when you're looking at vulnerability as well, so things like the vulnerable customer coming in and how we deal with them and how we ensure that the service that we're providing them is correct, and I think AI has got a huge place to play there. But it's also at the front end, so things like bots, that's where it's not matured as quickly as maybe some other people thought. And I think over time, as bots mature, ChatGPT becomes human, then I think we'll see more complex front ending of the kind of conversations that may be a bit more cognitive, a bit more nuanced than maybe just some of the what I would consider fairly basic binary tree type AI experiences that these people, companies call bots. So I think over the next 5 years, I think we'll see a revolution in that front end. And of course, what that will do is the more you fix up front, then the less will come down to the contact center. So for me, I want to be part of that journey. So I want to be able to help our companies, our clients, to be able to mature their operations from that call center into a contact center, into a customer hub, which has all of that richness of technology with it. So, moving from an outsourcing relationship to a managed service provider and a partner as they grow and develop.
Question on metrics. We know that COVID forced so many people to work at home, and it became difficult to measure for a lot of organizations how successful these remote workers were. And in the outsourcing space, it's very similar, right? You've got these remote workers that work for another organization partnering with you. How are you measuring and working with your customers on metrics?
So KPIs, are fundamental to all of the relationships we have. Most of them have got a risk-reward element to them as well. So we have to be measured appropriately. And one of the challenges for what we do is to make sure that we control the levers that actually allow us to then live within the KPIs that we exist in. So you've always got the things like NPS, which is always going to be there in our industry, but you've also got the traditional CSAT approach, customer satisfaction. But we also internally we use employee satisfaction as a key metric as well, because if they're happy, our customers tend to be happier as well. Beyond that, it would be things like looking at demand management. How do we drive demand down within the contact center? Because if you think about it, a contact center a lot of the time is a point of failure within an organization. Something didn't happen upstream that has caused it to come down to us, and we can fix that. So how do we improve that, and what KPIs do we put against that? One of those would be first contact resolution. So if someone's coming into the center, we don't want them to come in 10 times. And it's little nuances in often. I was working with a bank recently who said to me, we were doing a first contact resolution process with them, and we did an evaluation on one little bit. It was my credit card is going to come next. Your new credit card is going to come next week, and they got lots of calls every day saying my credit card hasn't arrived. My credit card hasn't arrived. And in the end, we said let's change it to my credit card will arrive by the end of next week, and all the calls went away. And it's things like this that they need insight, they need thinking, they need someone that's going to be proactive. And so as an organization, we want to be there. We want to be the proactive partner for these companies that then stand by that metric, which is a key metric, because if someone has a problem and they call twice, you double your call volume if they all call twice. So how do you avoid that? And so that kind of thing is really important.
That's fantastic. So companies that are looking to learn more, how do they find you?
So they can come to either on our LinkedIn or come to our webpage. It's Quantanite.com. So
spell that out.
So Quantanite.com. Or they can come to me on LinkedIn, Andrew Hall, Quantanite, and contact me directly, and I'll be really happy to speak.
Thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure.